Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. We've got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty leagues, PPR league, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's good, y'all? Hope y'all are enjoying your day. We're back for the Patreon segment of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Austin. I'm your host. Very happy to be here and be the host of the Fantasy Football Podcast. I love it here, man. And if y'all are here, that means you love it here too because you subscribe to the Patreon. That's what's up. I appreciate y'all for doing that. I got two segments for y'all today. We're going to be talking about rookies, and then we're going to be talking about the Jets offense that's absolutely in shambles now that A-Rod is done for, probably for the rest of the season. We'll see if he ever has a chance to come back, but it's not seeming so, which is extremely unfortunate for them. But yeah, let's get right into it with a rookie radar. This is the guy that I thought was the most impressive rookie. Second most impressive rookie, at least from an offensive standpoint, for sure. We got Zay Flowers here. Zay Flowers absolutely had a great day. 10 targets, 9 catches, catching 90% of the balls, for a total of 78 yards. No touchdowns, but was definitely moving around the field. He is elusive, quick. I don't even know how else to describe it. The only way I've been able to describe it now is that he's like baby Tyreek. That's what I see when I look at Zay Flowers. He has that elite twitch, just like Tyreek Hill. There's not really too many people in the league that have that type of stop-start, shifty nature about them, and he is definitely one of them. Last year in college, he went 78 catches, 1,077 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Big highlight on the 12 touchdowns because that is a ton, especially just being in college. He was crazy in the ACC. Love watching him play. Just got eyes on all of his college film today, and man, that was a very impressive tape. If you haven't watched that tape, I would definitely recommend that. This last week, week 1, he also had 2 rushes for 9 yards. So definitely with J.K. Dobbins being out, he's gonna be a facet in the running game. So that could be tough. He's definitely like the jet sweep guy. Get it out to him in space and just let him make a move and go. So I really like watching him play. Definitely not the strongest guy. He's really small, and I don't want to call him frail, but he definitely looks frail. He looks a little more frail than a lot of his counterparts, just being so small, and then also not, Tyreek Hill is small, but he's like bulked up, and you could tell that he's a strong guy. He lifts weights. I'm sure Tyreek Hill squats like 500 something pounds. I don't think Zay Flowers is a guy who's squatting 500 pounds by any means, at all. But not to take away from any of his football ability. Definitely still extremely explosive. Probably a home run hitter, even though we haven't seen it yet in the NFL. The Ravens were loving to use him in that short passing game and then also the screen passing game. But, in the league, speed kills, and he absolutely has that home run speed. Ran a 4.42 40 at his pro day. No, I'm pretty sure it was at the combine that he ran the 4.42, and this week he put up 18.7 fantasy points in PPR leagues, and that's going to get it done. As a guy who's getting drafted as a wide receiver 2 flex spot, that's absolutely going to get it done every single time. And I don't know who really takes his targets away besides, I guess, Mark Andrews when he comes back. But if he's even the wide receiver 2 getting any type of production with a little bit of rushing upside, you absolutely love to see it. And Zay Flowers is absolutely on my rookie radar for sure. Next guy we're hitting, and this guy's a must hit. Absolute must hit. And that is Bijan Robinson. Dude, he did somebody the dirtiest I've ever seen someone get done in the NFL without getting like trucked or stiff armed or hit sticked. He did not touch this man. He hit him with a simple whoop, and that guy was like shoo. And it's gonna be a clip for years to come. When Bijan Robinson is, making, and maybe not making millions of dollars because I forgot that he is a running back or whatever, but when he's, big time and making a lot of plays, I compared him to Saquon earlier. When he's making Saquon type plays and doing Saquon type stuff, um, they're absolutely going to go back to that clip and be like, look how dirty he did him. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It was absolutely filthy. Bijan ended the game with 10 carries for 56 yards. Also added in 6 carries for 27 yards, and that's where the touchdown came from. 20.3 fantasy points, and I told y'all earlier that I don't know if I believe the hype on Bijan. I believe the hype on Bijan. I completely believe it now. There's nothing to be said about a guy that's overhyped. It's not him. He's not overhyped. He was playing in that Joker spot, and Cordarrelle Patterson was out, and he's like supposed to be the Joker, the guy who plays the running back and also plays the receiver. And he was the one doing that, and I don't know why they wouldn't just keep him there and then send Cordarrelle to the practice squad, or maybe he like gets like way less touches and way less time, because I don't know how you keep this guy off the field in any way. The only problem is Tyler Algier will continue to work into his workload, being that he got 15 carries. Tyler Algier, 15 carries, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't see that stopping. Um, Super crazy. I didn't start Tyler Algier. I was talking about him very highly in this sweet running back duo that Atlanta is forming, and I didn't start him, and that literally lost me week 1. I don't know what I'm doing. Got to be better than that for sure. No question about it. But Bijan was absolutely probably the most explosive rookie this week, right behind Zay Flowers. Scored a couple more points than him, and it definitely showed in the game. If you were like me and just watching Red Zone and you only got to get a little bit of eyes on him, go ahead and peep his week 1 highlights. Especially his receiving upside is the thing I'm most excited about for him. He's a PPR nightmare for sure. Playing slot receiver, he's coming in motion. He might run a jet sweep. He might put Cordarrelle Patterson out of a job completely. So, if he does that, I'd be excited. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of check down from Ritter, who is a unexperienced quarterback in the league, looking to not make too many mistakes and not lose his job. So he's definitely going to get a ton of check downs, ton of receiving work, and it looks like he's ready to take that on for sure. Next guy we're going to talk about here is Mr. Bryson Young. Bryce Young, first pick in the draft. Talked about this a little earlier, probably about a week ago, but in college, in 20, how many games here? I believe in 27 games, he put up 8,200 yards and 79 touchdowns through the air, and then also in those 2 years added 7 touchdowns rushing. So if I add that up, 79 plus 7 is 86 touchdowns in 27 games total. Yeah, that's pretty crazy and probably worthy of a number 1 pick if you ask me. Seems like a pick that makes sense, and I completely understand getting eyes on him the first week 1. He's going up against a tough Falcons secondary, which obviously sports AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, who had 2 picks during the game. He looked like Jesse Bates was baiting Bryce Young into throwing it into the middle of the field after the first couple drives where he was having success over the middle of the field, throwing rockets, right at Mingo, right at Terrace Marshall, Hayden Hurst. Bates, vet instincts, his spidey senses started to kick in, and he knew exactly where he was going, and he was able to pick him off twice. But Bryce Young, and obviously quarterbacks start very slow sometimes in the league, And I really don't expect him to be one of these quarterbacks that start slow. I expect the Panthers to actually be pretty good this year with him under center. 20 for 38 and 146 passes, 146 passing yards and one touchdown is what he put up in week 1, which is, not great, but not bad. I personally thought that at the beginning of the game he looked like much sharper, and then maybe down the stretch, defense started to figure out that he was just going to be passing the ball because they were down, and they were able to take advantage of that naturally. But Bryce Young has a ton of upside. He's a pure passer with elite athleticism. In that junior year of college, he actually finished with like negative rushing yards because he's such a pure passer. Like, he's obviously a guy that could go and get 40, 50, 60 rushing yards per game, but that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to sit in the pocket and get his teammates involved, which I think are signs of a truly good quarterback, which is wonderful to see. He's a natural leader. He was a captain at Bama, and they already made him a captain for the Panthers in his first year. So absolutely love to see that his team actually like listens to what he's saying and put that stamp of approval on him that they want him to be one of their captains. So I think that's really cool. Um, I think he naturally just also elevates the people around him. It's not like he has a ton of talent. His wide receiver one is technically Adam Thielen, who is like 33 years old, and then his wide receiver two technically is a rookie in Jonathan Mingo. So he's kind of like spread on his options that he really has. Does have Hayden Hurst, who he's relying on, and he relied on in week 1. Put up a decent fantasy performance, but I think he really does truly raise the play of the people that are around him. So if he can ever get some more weapons around him, um, I think definitely watch out because he can absolutely play some balls in some places that a lot of quarterbacks, you know, guys like Zach Wilson, guys like Kirk Cousins can't place the ball like Bryce Young can. And he's still so skinny, so frail. He's got such a long way to go with his body development. I'm just excited to see what he does in the league. Um, yeah, no, and I also today went back and watched every single one of his throws, even his incompletions. He did go 20 for 38, as I said, but even watching the film back, it was still relatively impressive from a first year guy in his first game. And maybe he got a little rattled towards the end, but I think this is a sharp guy. I don't know how much fantasy implications he has, and that's just something we'll have to see. Obviously, Anthony Richardson performed really well. We'll see if Bryce Young can raise his level up to that, go a bit higher, start scoring in those 15 to 20 range fantasy wise. Yeah, but we will be right back with my next segment. Cool. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are right back, and we're going to be going through the Jets offense here. Now that they're absolutely in shambles because of this guy. I mean, I guess technically not because of this guy. It's because of the defender that was on the Giants on the fourth play. most likely tore Aaron Rodgers' Achilles, which is absolutely the worst news for all fantasy owners of Garrett Wilson, fantasy owners of Allen Lazard, fantasy owners of Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall, Miko Hardman literally, I think he played one snap and it was a kick return at the end of the game, and obviously resulted in 0 targets for the game. I don't know what they're doing over there in New York, but somehow they pulled out a walk-off home run, punt return victory right at the end, which was super sick. You'll love to see it, and it also wasn't Zach Wilson that had to come down and like do a game-winning drive, because I really don't know if that would have happened, um, personally. But the offense was set to be probably one of the most, if not the most potent offense in the entire league, and I think everyone is fantasy wise severely affected by Wilson becoming the quarterback again. Um, I talked about this a little bit earlier in my live episode, but Garrett Wilson just seems to literally go silent sometimes when Zach Wilson is the one throwing him the ball. Maybe it's because the DBs just lock in and they know that's his favorite target, so they find ways to take him away. But Garrett Wilson just becomes much more of a non-factor. So, something we're hoping for this Jets offense is that maybe they find a way to, I don't want to say get Tom Brady, or, I doubt that they pull Mr. Matt Ryan out of the booth or anything like that, even though that he said that he was thinking about getting back. If there was ever an opportunity, he did say that. I know that Cap just made the call. Colin Cap just told the Jets that he's ready to, slide back in. Only 35 years old. Maybe Colin Kaepernick, finally gets his chance to do something crazy in the league. I'll tell you one thing for sure. Robert Saleh does not want Zach Wilson throwing the ball for him. It's pretty much, Super Bowl time. This is their window of opportunity. They went and got their guy, and now the worst has happened, and Zach Wilson is back. There's no way that anybody's happy. I'm just gonna say a couple things that I don't like about Zach Wilson real quick. He looks like a kid. I don't like his voice. I was listening to his press conference, and I just don't like his voice at all. Another thing, I guess this isn't really about him, but Peyton Manning on the Monday Night Football stream with Eli, he had no clue who he was, didn't even know he was on the roster, and he was literally drafted last year. So like, just a couple things. Defense had 4 turnovers, and he only found a way to put up 16 points. 2 points, or two of those being field goals. Even his touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson was extremely off the mark, and Garrett Wilson made an absolutely ridiculous play to get back to that ball and still find a way to get the touchdown. Shout out Greg the Leg for those field goals too. Greg the Leg is the GOAT. But I'm definitely praying that they find a way to sign a new QB, so they don't struggle as bad offensively. That offense has way too many weapons, 2 elite running backs, at least 1 elite receiver. Mecole Hardman has some of the most elite speed in the entire league, and Lazard is a solid receiver. I would just hate to see this offense go completely downhill because, there's no guy that's back there that's able to get them the ball. They could sign me if they want. You can hit me up right at the streamelements.com/GSMC Sports, GSMC Sports Network, and that's where you can hit me up if you want to sign me at quarterback. I got a rocket on me. There's no way that I can't go ball for ball with Zach Wilson all day long. I got all that, but without the creativity of Rodgers, I'm definitely scared of what's to come for these Jets. Sharing carries, sharing targets. They're both kind of like do-it-all running backs. I don't know who's gonna get the looks. Now that they don't have the elite quarterback to add to that play. So it's just difficult. We'll see what happens from a Jets perspective. The one thing that we know is going to happen is that the Jets defense is going to carry them wherever they need to go, at least help them stay in some games. Maybe stay in some games, because you can't stop everybody. really can't. You got to be able to put points up in the NFL. There's no question. So I wouldn't be surprised. Um, I can't see them picking up Colin Kaepernick for whatever reason. I can't really see any NFL team giving Cap another shot. Um, Tom Brady's 46 years old at this point. I don't see it being reasonable to go and swoop him up. Matt Ryan's going to be right around that age as well. I think Jameis Winston is out in the ether, and me and Tate were talking about that earlier. Maybe they grab famous Jameis, you eat the W. I don't know what they're going to do. Their defense is way too elite to not do anything this year, so they definitely have to do something. But with all the stocks falling right now on their offensive side of the ball, and Zach Wilson absolutely not being a fantasy relevant quarterback, I don't know what the Jets do. So I'm excited to see what happens. The football season is it's like kind of like a soap opera, but it's it's like a Netflix show that everybody like tunes in and they're like, oh dang, like what's gonna happen? Oh, he got hurt. Who's coming up next? There's gonna be so many players this year that you see that you have no clue who they are right now, and they're gonna make a big impact by the end of the year. So just be ready for that. But yeah, thank you for watching. That's just the little Patreon segments that we did for y'all.